Hello and welcome to Stories with Dice, an actual play podcast of some of our favorite tabletop role-playing games.
Welcome to another episode, Tales from the Loop from Off. Hooray! I'm joined, as ever, by my fellow co-host, Margot.
Last episode, I was your wonderful, wonderful co-host. Today, I'm just your fellow co-host.
Oh, for God's sake, I'm going to have to, just get progressively more and more grand as I kind of get along. And this is only the start. So in about 5 years' time, I'm not really sure that'll be the entire podcast, just introducing you.
As it should be.
As it should be, yeah. And I would say joined as ever by my players, but potentially for the last time by some of them. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
And we've got the sexy Scottish person, Douglas.
Yep. Hello.
It says so under his name, apparently.
So it must be Kurt.
It's true. Pete.
Hiya.
And Sol.
I'm always last.
That's because you spill your drinks all the time.
Yeah, you should have been back years ago.
Oh, hello.
Just give you a bit of a quick roundup after a word from our sponsors. No, we don't have a sponsor. But if you're listening to us on whatever social media or whatever podcast app you're doing, if you give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe, and a follow, that will be very kind. If you would like to know more about our stuff, we have a website. You can join us on Discord channel. You can join us on our Facebook group. And if you're feeling very generous, you could join us on our Patreon. But there is a free version, but we'd really like you to spend loads of money on us so that, we can go to cool conventions and play games for thousands of people. I'm not really sure how that would work. But, at least at the very least, Marco and I can kind of catch up and maybe I can go visit him in the sunny Mediterranean.
On his yacht.
On his yacht, yeah, his yacht, rather than him coming to visit me in a dreary, dreary southwest England.
We can always meet up at Dragon Meet.
Sounds like a plan.
Are you going to Dragon Meet? Sorry, I won't jump on the podcast for this, but I'm planning to be there too.
I haven't made any plans yet. But
neither have I. I just tossed that out there.
God, maybe next year. Maybe we can kind of get all the other folks that are involved in some of these games that we play to join us. How great would that be? So welcome back. Just do a quick sort of rundown of what happened last episode. The kids kind of got together and decided that with all the information they'd received over the previous episodes, they were going to upload a virus that they found from some potential agents to stop the robots in their tracks. So they hastily put together a plan. Susie and Anthony would distract them from the front while Sven, Johannes, and Anders would come in through the back. It didn't quite go to plan, but sort of went to plan. Susie and Anthony annoyed the security guard until Anthony, it turns out, tackled the old security guy to the floor while Susie ran in and distracted a load of people or robots by hooking up her synthesizer and various other bits to the microphones in the office. Meanwhile, out the back, Sven and the others managed to avoid some kind of trap that was set for them. And as they were about to rush off at the same time that music started to be blared out over the Tannoy system, a whole bunch of little robots came up on their side and ran across the road to be met by another's. Anyone who would have looked at it would have seen that it was the two sides of the robot stories, Deceivers versus the Convoys, and they were having a good old fight amongst each other. In the meantime, the lads rushed across through the maelstrom of these little robots fighting each other to rush down the stairs. Back at the front, it seems that poor old Anthony got sort of tackled by the guy that he kept kicking dirt in his face, and he found, while dusting himself down, something embedded into his brother's jacket. He messed around with it, and all of a sudden, the security guard disappeared in a heat haze. He was very taken aback by this, or very excited. Meanwhile, Susie got together and started to put all of her gizmo-y tinkered stuff together so that she could play the music and stuff that would disrupt the robots, they reckoned. And that is where we ended up last session with the three guys, Sven, Johannes, And Anders facing down, and I'll just remember his name again, Megaton Prime, at the top of the stairs as they go down into the basement to insert the virus into servers. And indeed, guess what we'll do is, Susie, could you make a tinker roll for me just to make sure that everything works perfectly well with the
Let's give it a go.
stock you have?
The rocker got 4 6s on 4 dice.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That makes up for the spilled drinks.
That does.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. You kind of like put everything together and you kind of attach it all. You find a way of kind of just putting it directly in. You kind of like pull out the cabling that goes towards the microphone and you attach it all.
This is an elaborate piece, right? With 4 successes, I'm involving both the amps, the strange, the synthesizers, the strange extra metal acoustic pieces, and I want to play music over the top. So we're dealing with sort of, 3 or 4 moving parts here. And if I may, Ed, we've got this really annoying sort of sine wave, sound effect coming from the synthesizer, with then Susie pressing play on her little tape recorder, and it starts up crackling and then begins to play Take On Me by A-ha. Now she was expecting, puts her fingers in her ears, expecting this to be a horrendous noise being played over the tannoy. She pauses for a moment, takes the hands off the ears, and it turns out it is like the best A-ha remix possible. It is both emphasize the music and is effective.
I'd like that. And with 4 successes, absolutely, I'm more than happy with that. Yeah. Okay. Remind me what your pride is.
My pride is my mixtapes are legendary.
I think you have lived up to that. Sven and Anders and Johannes, the first thing you see is the music starts to blare out. As it starts to blare out, you can definitely feel there's a sort of like a bass to it, but then you can also hear the music on top of it. And whatever is going on in that first half of that sort of like layer of music is causing all of the robots that are sort of like fighting with each other to sort of start going a little bit haywire. They're not stopped working, but they seem like their systems are sort of like just going a little bit crazy. So you'll see like one go to hit another, but sort of like it hits the floor instead. One goes to run, but trips up, or a part of its body turns into like a race car, but the other half doesn't. And so it just seems like all their systems are kind of like being shuffled around a bit, but they're still ferociously attacking each other as best they can. And you've got this guy at the top of the stairs.
What about Megaton Prime? Is he moving?
Yeah. So Megaton Prime basically is standing there and he seems to sort of like twitch. He's got this like big sharp knife in his hand and he's a bit bigger than the rest. He's just past your knee height and he kind of like twitches and stuff. He seems to be holding still. He doesn't seem to have sort of been as problematic as some of the smaller ones.
I will just tell to the guys, okay, I'll take this one. Anders, help me if I need. Douglas, try to go down. Remember, the door might be locked. I move forward, face this guy.
Do we see the door from here, or is it?
No, you have to go down the stairs and there's like a turn to the right.
Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I go forward. It's like, come on, come here, you dirty robot.
Okay. The robot will take a couple of steps forward. As it takes a couple of steps forward, you can see that it sort of keeps trying really hard to be really kind of smooth in its walking, but it's sort of a bit jaggedy and a bit halting. And then it kind of takes a couple of more steps and then walks at a weird angle away from you towards like the road. You're like, okay, that wasn't quite right. Then it kind of turns back on itself to walk back towards you. And you can see all the lights in its eyes and stuff are flashing and sort of going a bit weird and crazy.
I will try to bring him towards me. And then I say, I tell Anders, go behind him. I'm distracting him. And I'm like, come here.
Johannes, let's get down there. Sven, try not to break that one too much. I need a Megaton Prime.
Whatever.
Okay, I'll follow Anders.
Okay, right. Anders, you run down the stairs, followed by Hannes, and you get to that same door that you previously had. It's got sort of like the pin code on the side. The door is open, and you can see that standing the other side of the door is Sven's dad. Sven's dad is got a large pole in his hand. He looks at you. He's kind of holding his hand to his head, but he's just staring at you. Meanwhile, back at the front, Anthony, you've just seen the security guard disappear into the heat haze. Susie's kind of run past you, grabbed some stuff and gone back into the shack while she's doing her thing. What are you going to do?
I wait for her. I mean, I don't think he would run off and leave her there. So he probably went into the shack, and now that she's got the thing working,
You pop back in to just find Susie sort of stunned at what she's created. You can see she's just in awe and sort of like bopping along, completely distracted.
Yeah, you could see Anthony's head bopping along to the beat as well. He's like, "That's pretty good. We should go. We should go help the guys."
Oh my gosh, yes, we better go, quick. You lead the way.
So then we'll run around to or I guess, I don't know, can we get in through this gate?
There is sort of like a pass key kind of like slot for the main gate.
Well, we don't have the pass key.
No, that's probably on the security guard.
Okay, we'll run around to the back where
you can
cut
climb over the fence if you want. I mean, that's another thing.
What kind of security code lock is it?
What kind of security lock is like a kind of like slide in sort of key card sort of security lock that you've got, and then a
Cool.
match up the top.
So you're just gonna give it a go. Doesn't think this is gonna work too much, but she's gonna take out like I don't know, not even. It's probably not even like an enamel. Yes, no, she's got a library card. She's gonna take out a library card, and then she's gonna also take out one of like I don't know. I feel like she just has a bunch of stuff around. If not, she's got like spare things to make speakers and whatnot. Obviously, a main
She's
component.
got like a little electrical kit kind of thing.
Little electrical kit, but it's also got like some speakers. I'm just going to jimmy out like one of those basic like magnets or whatever, and then
tinker roll for me.
I'm just going to try and like use the library card and a magnet and just like to sort of trigger them.
Go on, do a tinker roll. I'd like 2 successes.
It's all right. We'll give it a go. Last time I got 4. I didn't get any. It's all right. I tried.
You're like, really, you needed to have.
Yeah, this isn't. I could probably do it if I had a bit more time, Anthony.
So while she was doing that, Anthony was like, and started climbing the fence.
Yeah, that's fine. You start climbing the chain link fence. No problem there.
I see Anthony drop down on the other side. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Put everything back in my bag and like throw it over and start climbing.
Okay. The kid's at the back. Right. You are facing Sven's dad. Anders, you're in the front.
Mr. Larson, it's me, Anders.
He looks at you.
Any sign of recognition?
He does. He doesn't seem to be doing very much about it.
Your son's outside and that big robot megaton thing's about to hurt him. Are you going to let that happen? And I will try and get through to him that way. That hopefully that sort of fatherly instinct might break through.
He kind of looks at you and says, Sven
is outside.
You see, he kind of like looks for a second and starts sort of like mumbling to himself, and he kind of starts to walk towards you and then stops, looks around and stands strong in front of you, blocking your path.
Well, I'll hold my shield up just in case he swings at us, and then nudge Johannes. Johannes, do you think you can creep round him? I'll try to keep him talking.
There's no way past him, is there? Without him moving.
It's very difficult to kind of figure out how you're going to get past him.
Might just have to push him over. Like, it doesn't look like we're able to convince him to go outside.
He seems to be sort of like wavering, but it looks like he's kind of making a decision of, does he go outside or does he stay here and protect? You can see the data banks behind him, but he's just standing there. He's quite a tall, imposing guy.
We try and convince him again to go out, or is it just one rule?
I think probably you've kind of like probably done as much as you can. He's not really doing anything to you. So he's not really kind of coming forward to sort of like you or anything, but he's not really moving. So you're kind of in a bit of an impasse at the moment.
I think Anders, we might just have to try and push past them because, he's not moving.
You then suddenly hear the sound of an elevator.
Okay, that I guess just rush him, Anders. We don't have much choices. I don't want to see like multiple people down here.
Ready?
All right.
On 3.
Okay.
1, 2, charge.
If you could both make a force roll, please. And I'm going to need 2 successes. How are we doing?
1 each again, I think.
One each again.
You both pile into him and you kind of like all go down into sort of like a heap on the floor. You're all sort of like struggling with him. He's trying to grab you. You're trying to break free. And it's just a bit of a melee between the 3 of you. Meanwhile, we've got Susie and Anthony running up from the gate towards the factory. As you're running closer, you can then see spilling out from around the corner a bunch of little robots, all fighting each other. And the big main gates of the factory open. And you can see about 8 or so people coming out of the factory, sort of like looking around. They're all holding their heads, and they kind of turn and look down towards you two running towards it.
I'm probably going to pause if I see a huge group of robots. I'm just going to sort of, pause to a halt, sort of put my hand out in front of Anthony to sort of say, wait a minute.
Who are they? Do you recognize any of them?
Do I?
You guys recognize a couple of them from the list of people that you know that live in town.
But not like our mother.
In fact, one of them you can see is Magnus. One of his friends.
Susie, they're cyborgs. We got to hurry.
Hang on. Like, I'm unsure what you did to him. If you really did disappear him, then maybe don't do that on people we know.
Oh, for sure. A wand of disintegration is not to be used lightly.
I roll my eyes. No, you're right. We should only go to those who wield power properly. Let's go.
Okay. Are you running towards them or away from them?
We're going to run around to the stairs where we were last time when we tried to come in here.
So you're going to run between the factory and the warehouse.
Yep.
Yeah. So
go the long way around the other side. Yep. Okay. You kind of like start to run, and you can see some of the adults start to sort of mingle around. You see Magnus start to run and give chase.
While we're running, I'm like trying to get whatever this thing is inside the jacket free, so I could like actually have it in my hand and know what it is.
Keep faffing around with the thing. It's probably no bigger than sort of like half the size of your finger, or whatever it is. It's quite flat, and there's like a little clicky thing on it. I'm not really sure what it is, like a little clicker, but it's sewn into the, and so you keep trying to pull at it. So you're a little bit distracted at trying to pull it out while you're kind of running and all the rest of it. Which means you're sort of like running with these like gangly legs going everywhere. Okay. So you're making your way around. It seems that the robots are sort of like massing, and they seem to be sort of less confused when they're together. They seem to be figuring that out.
Okay. And the Megaton guy?
Yeah, he's kind of like now stopped and just standing and looking at you, which is even worse than him moving around. He's just it looks like he's sizing you up.
Okay. And the other little ones are around him?
They're kind of like sort of towards him and around him a little bit. There's probably about 9 of them now, sort of like surrounding him. They're not doing anything. They're all just stopped and they're all just staring at you, which is really, really disconcerting.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to move to the stairs just to block them from going down.
Okay, yeah. So you're going to defend the stairs, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you do that. As you see running around the corner, or you can hear actually before you see it, you can hear Anthony and Susie sort of like screaming and shouting. Meanwhile, down in the cellar, Anders and Johannes are busily sort of tussling around with Sven's dad. And you're kind of like giving as good as you're getting. It's more of a sort of a scuffle rather than sort of like trying to punch or hit each other. But it just means that you're all entangled with each other. What do you want to do?
See if I can increase the amount I'm restraining him. And Johannes, now get the disc there. So hopefully Johannes can break away and get the disc.
Okay. Between the two of you, I'm going to need 4 successes for you to kind of break away.
Oh, this is going to be unlikely for Johannes, but is this on force?
It's on force or move, whichever you...
Much of a muchness for him. Wow, we are really good away in one apiece.
You've got 2 successes. Did you want to spend any of your luck, or do you think your pride would come into its own here? What would you like to do to try and get that? I mean, just to remind me, what is your pride, Anders?
The ability to earn my own money. So
okay. Not really going to help you there. And Johannes, it's much the same.
I'm an excellent businessman. So. Well, actually, really, Anders, we are technically doing this for money. If we don't upload the virus, we don't get paid.
I like to be quite generous, but that's really spurious.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole reason Johannes is doing any of this
at the moment.
You didn't think he was actually wanting to save the people of the village, I think.
So you could always spend your luck.
Okay, then I have 1 luck, so I guess I will use that to reroll.
Yeah.
Oh, no, for 1 more success, is it?
It's just another success.
Yeah, and I'll do that as well.
Okay, amazing. Which means you get your 4 successes. So that means that Anders, you manage to kind of like tackle Sven's dad while Johannes kind of manages to wriggle free, losing one of his shoes in the process. But yeah, that means that you are now in the cellar looking at the databanks along with all the wiring and cabling and stuff in front of you. There's a set of spiral staircases going up to the ground floor of the factory. And that's when you realize that the elevator, so there's like this like dumbwaiter kind of elevator, is sort of like making its way down into the on that elevator is another one of these Megaton Primes. And it looks like this one is holding an honest to goodness pistol, a revolver in its hand. And in fact, it seems like the revolver has been somehow sculpted into its, onto the robot. Right. You're only going to get one shot of this. In the meantime, Anthony, Susie, you come running around the side of the factory to see, first of all, a bunch of different robots, all sort of like being very confused and fighting. The sound of Aha blaring out across the, coming out from the factory. You can also see there's a Megaton Prime with all these other robots sort of like starting to sort of coalesce around it, facing off against Sven. Now they've all got their backs to you, and you can see Sven standing at the top of the stairs, essentially defending the stairs from these robots.
Anthony will hit that clicker on the robots that are advancing on Sven.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. So you're gonna click the clicker.
I'm gonna click the clicker and say,
you click
get away from my friend.
Okay. You hit the clicker. Nothing happens.
Fudge. Now I'm nervously like, sugar honey iced tea. This thing was working a minute ago.
What would you mean it was something supposed to happen?
Yeah, I was supposed to make them disappear.
Well, it doesn't look like it works, but
you see Susie is looking, well, the first thing you see is Susie's hair is now standing all on end, and Susie's feet start to rise from the ground.
Well, Susie, you're levitating.
You can make out a heat haze appearing around both of you.
No.
Anthony, what have you done?
I'm trying to unclick it.
You want to click it again?
Yes.
Okay. You click it again. Susie is sort of like dropped from about, 3 inches. And all the gravity returns to Susie and around you. And the heat haze stops. Then you see a bit of the heat haze happening above Susie's head, sort of like on the first floor of the factory. And all of a sudden there's this horrendous rending of metal and part of the factory wall disappears. And there is now a gaping hole. Loads of papers and like a printer or something falls out of the side of the wall, leaving the above exposed.
Did you see that, Susie? Holy smokes. Are you okay?
I don't know. What was going to happen to me, Anthony?
I don't know. I think we were going to be transported to another dimension.
Right. On that note, to you, Johannes.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the plan?
The gun robot hasn't arrived yet.
It has not arrived yet.
So I still have a chance.
You do indeed.
Okay, then I guess I will run to the computer and look data banks, look for some sort of computer-esque thing.
Could you do me a favor and could you make a comprehend roll?
Okay.
How much do you know about computers?
No, worst thing ever.
We thought you were the smart one.
There's different types of intelligence. There's emotional intelligence.
Business acumen.
Was it comprehend? Okay. And I stack the deck a bit.
Okay. How would you do that?
Motivate myself to succeed by remembering a quote from my book, which is my item.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So let me see it. The quote
gets add +2.
Okay. So is that plus 2 dices or 2 dices?
Plus 2 dice.
Okay. So the quote I'll go for is success is often achieved by those who don't know that failure is inevitable. And that is Coco Chanel.
Okay.
So yeah, as long as I just don't give up,
you dig deep. You dig deep.
Yeah. I just refuse to believe that I can fail. So that is an extra 2. So that is 4 mind plus 1 comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
So we're rolling 7 dice. And how many do I need?
Just either one.
There's 2.
Excellent. Yeah, you kind of go, oh, wait, actually, I remember seeing this before. They're very similar to the ones that were in Oli Yonika's house. Yeah, you open up and find the available slot, and you put the disc into the slot. But now you need to do something.
I use my additional success to be like, it says press return. It says press any button to run program.
It was that simple, my friend. If only it was that simple. What it is going to require you to do is to make a program.
This may require, okay, we are rolling on 2.
Okay. But don't roll yet. So, Anders, you are rolling around with Sven's dad, who is trying to kick you off of him and rush towards Johannes. If you want to stop him doing that, I'm going to require you to make a force roll, but don't roll it yet.
Right.
Unless there's anything you particularly want to do outside of this stuff.
Come on, Anders. Channel your D&D fighter.
No, I'm just intent on making sure that he can't get away to stop.
In any particular way? What is there anything?
Basically, just trying to wrap myself around his legs so that he can't shake me off, so he can't run or move.
That's cool. Sven, up the top of thing, you can see that the robots appear to sort of have started to sort of make their way towards you. They look like they're going to have a final charge. What do you want to do, Sven?
I will stand my ground and I will shout like, come here. And I think I will try. I don't know, the drive, does it give you anything?
Well, I mean, it kind of gives you a reason as to why you're doing things.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking, because, my pride is nobody tells me what I can do. But I don't know.
Well, I suppose that
it's kind of, I'm just holding my ground and I don't want to move. I want to protect my friends in a way. So I was wondering if I can use it for this final stand.
Sure, why not? Go on then, why not? Okay. If you could also make a force roll, you can add +2 to your dice for that.
Okay.
But not yet.
Okay.
Susie, what's Susie going to do?
I don't know, I'm following Anthony. Honestly, she's a little shaken up after what just occurred. I think, didn't you say that someone was chasing us?
Yes.
Cool. I think at this moment she turns around, remembers, and goes, wait, turns around, we got to get up there, we got to find a way through. He's still coming. And she's actually going to, I think she's having, this is the first time, well, not the first time, but one time that she's very uncomposed. She's well out of her depth, super stressed out, having a bit of a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost tempted to tick upset, just voluntarily.
Okay.
Because of what's occurred.
That's cool.
I'm not happy.
See some XP in your future. Okay. And Anthony.
I need Anthony to help me.
Right. Okay. And Anthony.
So part of the wall has disappeared only on the second floor or on the ground floor? It's
on the second floor. It's not on the ground floor.
And I still can't get the object out of the jacket, correct?
No, it's still in there. You're still taking it away, as you were inside the jacket.
Okay. Well, at this point, Anthony is thinking wherever the security guard went and wherever that wall went, that's where his brother went. And so he takes a step away from Susie and he clicks it.
Okay. Right. So Susie, you're kind of just looking around. I don't think there's much you can really do in this situation that will help with this role. And Anthony, what shall we do with you?
Causing trouble.
Causing trouble. Could you please make a tech roll, but not yet. So if all of you can please make the roll, or what I need from you is I want 10 successes total from all of you. We can also add to this, but I guess she's kind of losing it a bit. You want to do you have lead or do you have sort of any kind of heart? Or I guess that's the kind of thing you go into the mix.
What? Susie? Absolutely not. She's very empathetic, but she's in no way has the skills to sort of rile up the crowd.
Okay, right.
She's very much in her own world.
Well, if you could, if you can make a heart roll, then if you want to make that roll, I need 10 successes in total from all of you for your extended trouble roll.
So with my conditions ticked, that was 1 dice, and I rolled a 1.
Okay.
Anthony rolled 1 success out of his 2 tech dice.
We've got 1 success so far.
and I roll my force plus the 2 die.
I can, however, Ed, I do have 1 luck point.
Okay.
I'll spend it. It feels like it's needed.
Cool. We've got 2 successes.
I'm rolling now my force.
Okay.
Only 1. I'm going to push it.
Okay.
And I will take exhausted because I'm guessing I'm fighting against all these robot stuff and they're jumping at me. So I'm just doing everything to push them back. So I have 1 success.
My God.
Oh,
dear. 1 success. That's 3 successes.
I cannot push again.
You can't do anything else now. So that's 3 successes. So no pressure.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna use every bit of strength I've got. So that was exhaustive.
There we go. Okay, so we got 5 successes.
No, I mean, you have 6 now, right?
6 successes. I lie. You're at 6 successes. So yeah.
You just have to get 4 successes with 2 dice. No,
yeah, that's a problem.
So,
do people have luck that they can spend?
Yeah, I will spend my last luck to get 1 success. So now we're on 7.
I can do my luck too, but that would be 8.
Okay, so you need 2 successes then.
I'm rolling 2 dice.
I got 4 successes on 4 dice. It's possible.
Okay,
gotta pray. Just gotta hope.
What else? Okay, I'll tell you what.
Like, I can also push it as well if I fail the 2 dice.
Yeah, so. That's true.
I shout instructions across. Oh, 1. I will.
Oh my God!
Come on!
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm very upset.
Yeah. So you kind of Susie's kind of looking around, sort of like starts to sort of like try and sort of shout encouraging words, but is just not really kind of feeling it as Magnus comes around the corner.
Well, question, Anthony, don't you have extra luck to spend? You are a 10-year-old.
Yes, that's true. I spent 1 last session, so I can spend that.
You can absolutely spend that luck this time.
Okay, then I will do that.
But you have more than 1, no? You should have more than 1 luck.
Right, you can only spend 1 at a time.
Yeah,
per roll. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So actually, we were doing that wrong. Luck basically allows you to re-roll, like a push roll, but for free.
Yeah, I was wondering.
But
I thought you just made the decision about that.
Yeah, so did
that's
I.
fine.
You'd mixed up with the prize because the prize.
I'm happy with that myself. It's fine.
Fine. Okay.
So yeah, Anthony, if you want to spend a luck point,
yes,
then you can do. I'm happy with that. It's fine. Yeah. So you kind of just at the last minute, like you push and you click the button. You kind of like really sort of think really hard. As you click the button, everything just goes really still. So as I said, Susie, you're kind of like, we should all kind of like do something it's Magnus.
Yeah, she's like put her hands in her like hair and is like, it's all frizzed up. She's like, really panicking.
Sven is kind of like, what's Sven doing? You're like whacking and fending off these robots as they're kind of hacking at you. And
yeah, I imagine them jumping around and I'm just pushing aside with the lead and perhaps one grabbing my arm, pushing me down and just, hitting them against the wall and just kicking them. And when the big one comes, I will try to hit him with the pipe and just, melee style, like fighting with them and pulling down my jacket and just a big fight.
Like that. And as you're sort of like roll and you're trying to like stop. In fact, you're probably hanging on to or doing something with Sven's dad. I mean, what is that kind of?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like wrapping both my arms and my legs and trying to just wrap myself around his legs to stop him from being able to get up and
you can see he's trying really desperately to sort of like, and he throws the pole towards Johannes. It kind of like pings off the wall as Johannes kind of like opens up the keyboard, starts furiously trying to like type away to kind of like get the disk drive open, sort of like hit enter to kind of like hit run.
It's actually more like it's luck. So he's literally just pressing random buttons and getting more and more frustrated that nothing's happening.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, what does this mean?
And you end up just kind of like going space, enter, and hoping for the best.
I get more and more frustrated that nothing is happening and getting upset.
You can see your fingers manage to just hit the return key as the disk starts to whir. And then it all goes very still. And Anthony, you click the button and everything stops around you. A heat haze starts to build around you. And sort of like this fog appears just out of nowhere. And you kind of see sort of like overlaid in the fog figure, about the same sort of size and height as your brother, and a hand sort of like starts to kind of make its way through the fog towards you, sort of like offering a hand to you.
I take it. Joe, is that you?
You take it as the hand grips around your hand and pulls you forward, and there is a sort of like weird zip noise. As your finger hits the return key, and again, as it's like there's this noise of whirring of discs, and as you kind of like bring Sven's dad down, Sven, you kind of hit one of the robots as it breaks against the wall, and Susie, you see sort of Agnes kind of like trip and hold his head as he sort of falls to the floor, and Anthony disappears from view. It goes really quiet. All the little robots start to fall down. Then Sven's dad sort of like starts to sort of like, he goes, Agnes, get off me now. You can see everyone sort of like starting to look a bit odd, and he goes really quiet. You do manage to stop the robots. They all kind of fall over. You all kind of look up. In fact, Sven, you look around in the sort of like hallway, and you can see that there's just none of the robots are moving. They've all just fallen down. Usually you can see Magnus kind of like holding his head and looking up towards you and says, what am I doing here?
Honestly, Susie's ignoring him and is just yelling like, Anthony! Looking around, ignoring Magnus. Who cares about him?
And Johannes, you can see the robot touch down on the elevator. It doesn't do anything. It's just an inanimate object. Okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'll go check on Anders and Sven's dad then, I suppose, since they seem to be yelling at each other.
You know, normality suddenly come back, and I'm just sort of apologetically backing off. Sorry, Mr. Larson.
He sort of like pushing you away and says, what am I doing here? What's happening? He kind of like starts to storm out. As Sven, you kind of like pushing them, and you've got like cuts and scratches all over your arms and over your face and stuff. And you hear your dad behind you. Sven,
Dad?
what the hell is going on?
My God, you are all right.
Yes, looks around.
I'm guessing he still has this implant or whatever, right?
There you can see sort of like the scar along the side of his head.
And so I'm gonna signal him to the implant.
He puts his hand on his head and goes, I don't remember going to the doctor. And what's going on?
When I'm happy you're all right. I don't know what they did to you, but you were acting weird. I don't know. The company, I guess.
He sort of like says, in the distance you can hear the police sirens coming. Anders and Johannes, you kind of like are sort of making your way back up out of the cellar as well. And that's when you notice that there's Susie sort of like shouting for Anthony. But there is no Anthony.
Sorry, did you say the police cars have turned up?
You can hear the sound of police sirens in the distance.
Cool. I think before it, she like does a quick like look around, like, runs sort of, because we were sort of in between the factory and the warehouse, right? So she's then going to run towards the front desk.
You run off. What are the rest of you going to do?
I'm going to shout after Susie. Where's Anthony? Susie, where's Anthony?
I don't know.
Johannes will go check on Sven.
Yeah, Sven looks very tired. He looks like he's been through the wars, which he has.
Sven, are you all right? Police are coming.
Yeah, I'm okay. I guess it's when I go home with my dad.
Could I just try and drag away Megaton Prime out the wall?
Yeah, you can do that.
Arrive.
Yeah, you can do that. That's
I'm
fine.
just going to be like, okay, bye guys, see you later.
If you want to do that, you can do.
This will not come back to bite me in the ass later.
Of course not. No, I mean, what would you do with like a super intelligent robot thing?
Trade it for comic books with Martin. I think
like
that was the agreement.
Yeah, seems like a plan. Okay, so you're going to make your way, I guess. The people seem to be sort of making their way towards the front desk or towards the security shack. They're all kind of like looking at each other. The adults seem to be sort of like talking to each other. Some of them are kicking some of the robots over. And you can see sort of like the police cars turning up at the front gates. And out of the police cars, you can see Ingmarie, a bunch of other police officers.
Susie's like at the gate.
Yep.
By the security shack. Obviously,
you can see
climb over.
You see Anthony's dad, who's in the back. Your mum's in the back of another police car. And they're kind of like, goodness, they're kind of getting out the police cars. And you can see that they're sort of like trying to jimmy the lock and stuff to.
Yeah.
You know,
As soon as sort of Ingmarie gets out of the vehicle, Susie's just sort of at the gate, sort of clutching onto it, sort of speaking to him, and goes, Miss, Anthony's gone missing. I don't know where he is. He was right next to me and I can't find him.
She looks at you and says, what do you mean he's gone missing?
He's not here. I don't know. Can't find him.
The rest of you have all kind of like come down to the gate as well. And you can hear that.
What do you mean that Anthony is missing? Where is Anthony?
I don't know. He was there and now he's not.
Marie sort of like asks you a couple of questions to what was the last thing you saw? Where was he last seen?
Right.
And you can see it.
Next
and they ask you these questions as police officers are coming in and going into the...
I think Susie's getting more and more agitated because she can't comprehend it. They're not understanding it, and it's all a mess.
Yeah, the kind of police come in, they call an ambulance to make sure everyone's okay. They kind of try to talk to you, but you're obviously still really upset and everyone wants to know what's happening to Anthony. And so sort of like if it was a film, the camera would pan back from the factories. You're all talking, all being spoken to. Everyone's kind of looking to see where Anthony could have been. You can see Anthony's dad's looking really kind of like upset, kind of trying to figure out what's happened to his child. Meanwhile, Anthony, you take the hand of your brother and you step into the sort of swirling, misty portal type thing, kind of step over the threshold into a very clean, white and sort of pale blue room. You can see your brother. Your brother is standing in front of you wearing sort of special scrubs. And he looks at you and he says, Anthony, and he grabs you and gives you a massive bear hug.
Joe, where is this place? Where have you been? How did we get here?
This is the other place. You've got my jacket.
What other place?
Place I went to. You need to leave. You need to leave before they come back.
Ooh.
You've got my jacket. The people he looks around and he says, there's something strange going on in the loop. Something very strange. But you can't stay around here. You have to leave.
Well, you're coming with me.
I can't. I have to stay here. He kind of like lifts up his arm and you can see a long scar on his left arm, running from his inside of his elbow to his wrist. There's a large piece of sort of what looks like scarring and some stitches. He says, I can't. They've implanted me with something and I can't leave.
Well,
You need to go and get Dad, go and get Mum, and come and find me. I don't know where I am. I managed to see that there was like little imprint of the Rick's Energy logo, so I know that I'm somewhere in the loop. I don't know where. Go get Mum, go get Dad, come and find me. He kind of like is messing with your jacket, and he sort of starts to press the clicker.
I'm like trying to push him away. I'm like, no, you're coming with me.
No, you need to do this. And as he pushes the clicker, you can see his hair starting to stand on the end. And he goes, no, not that one. He clicks it again, and he does it like a double click to it. And then you can sort of like start to see the heat aids, and he double clicks again. And then the sort of like mist starts to build. And he says to me, listen, you're the only one that can help me. You need to go get as many friends as you can together, get Mum, get Dad, and find me. At which point he says, go on. I trust you. You'll be able to help me. And he pushes you through the mist as you trip back out through the mist.
And I'm like, as I'm coming through the other side, I'm like, Joe!
You land with a thud and your dad opens the door and you can see that you're in your room. You've basically landed in between your bed and your bedside table. And your dad says, God, Anthony, where the hell have you been? It's been days. And he basically grabs you and gives you a massive hug. Everyone's been worried sick about you. That is where we will end the Tales from the Loop of this story. You know,
right.
if there's enough people who would like to see a second season, please, by all means, give us a shout on any of the various social medias we have and say you'd like to see a second season. And there may well be a second season. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it.